What's going on, Hokie fans? This is Coach Mike Holmes. I'm a contributor with the Sons of Saturday, and this is the new segment for the Sons of Saturday that we're putting on the YouTube channel, and it's called the Hokie Hitter of the Week. Each week, I'm going to break down a key play that the Hokies did on either offense, defense, or special teams that helped lead us to victory or at least be somewhat successful in a loss. The point of this is to help you guys better understand the X's and O's of football and from a coach's perspective, and be able to examine a little bit of the ins and outs of how coaches think and how coaches game plan for a particular opponent. This week during the Pitt game, Tyler Bowen called an outstanding game. We actually executed his game plan fairly well on the offensive side. It led to increased rushing yards and allowed quarterback Kyron Drones to be able to do all kinds of things with his arm and his legs. So one of the plays that we want to break down this week is the toss with a quarterback counter. That's probably not what they call it, and it's probably not what a lot of coaches will call it, but in its simplest terms, that's really what it is. It's a toss option to Bashal Tutin or Malachi Thomas, whoever's in the backfield, with an option to run a quarterback counter off of that. We ran the toss play a lot during this game. We ran it twice within the first series. We ran it out of different formations, different personnel groupings, and what it allowed our running backs to do was to be able to get out in space a little bit, look for creases, and kind of take the pressure off of the offensive line a little bit. So let's delve into a little bit about this play, a little bit about what made this play special. If you notice here, I got a play drawn up on the board, X's and O's style. We are looking at Virginia Tech. We are in 11 personnel here. That means there's one running back and there's one tight end in this personnel package. We start out in a bunch right trips formation. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, is in pretty much their base defense. This is an example of a play that is on the very first series of the game. You notice there, I don't have any position numbers, but what I have here are the techniques that these individuals are playing. And when we go over defensive line techniques, they all mean a little bit different thing depending on what the offensive coordinator is trying to accomplish. So look at the 5 technique. So what a 5 technique means is that defender is playing the outside shade of the tackle that he is lined up in front of. If he was lined up right over top of him, he would be a 4 technique. If he was lined up to the inside, he'd be what we call a 4-eye technique. All right. So you have 2 ends playing 5 techniques on the outside. In most even fronts, which you see, we call it even front because it's got 4 down linemen. You have a 3 technique to what ends up being the play side. The 3 technique means that he is outside shade of the guard, and a 1 technique or a shade, and he's playing right there in the A gap, and he's usually playing off the near shoulder of the center. This is a base defense for a lot of folks in the NFL and in college, and it allows you some flexibility. You can play some games and run some twists and stunts with the defensive lineman. In the secondary, in the second level, you notice they got 2 linebackers here. Linebackers are playing in what we call a 20 technique. That means they are lined up right above the guards, and they're usually about 6 yards deep. Their star player here, which is what they call it in the Virginia Tech defense, it's more of like a traditional rover or a whip linebacker in the old Virginia Tech terminology. The star player, is lined up here over top of the point man in this trips formation, which is Stephen Gosnell. You got a cornerback on each side. You have a strong safety here and a free safety. So this is pretty much Pittsburgh's base defense. So let's take a little bit as to why we wanted to run this play. This play is an option play. It gives Kyron Drones the availability to either run the ball or pitch the ball to Bashal Tutin, and it works in a way where his read on this play is super simple. He has to worry about one individual. All right, and that's this guy right here, the 5 technique, the defensive end. That's the only guy that he has to look at during this play, and it's really one of 2 options. Okay, if the 5 technique here widens out with the defense in order to keep contained, Drones keeps the ball and follows his blockers, as we'll lay out here in just a minute. If that defender steps into the play, he pitches the ball to Tootin, and he gets to the outside. Okay, so let's look a little bit about, let's look at how this play ends up developing. Okay, so we start out in this formation. One thing that Tyler Bowen has done a lot of in recent weeks is start moving personnel around, shifting folks around, and getting them into the right position. And it all does a couple things. When you motion players, it allows the quarterback to read the defense. If they don't move, defense doesn't move a whole lot at all, they're playing some sort of zone defense, zone coverage on the back end. And that helps in the passing game. If you see defenders start moving with the people who are shifting or going in motion, that denotes more of a man coverage, and it allows the receivers to see the man coverage and either continue running routes or break them off early if they see a zone. So in this particular shift, we do a couple different things. Gosnell and Lane are going to move. Gosnell gets into an H-back look here. Lane gets into the slot over here. Okay, when this happens, Gosnell widens out, and the purpose of him widening out a little bit is to allow that corner to slide with him and get him out of the play. Of course, as I just talked about, this is to let us be able to see what the defense wants to do. So in this particular situation, their star goes with the play, okay, and he ends up kind of in between Gosnell and Jalen Lane, and that also allows the free safety because they are playing sort of a man coverage look. That free safety is going to kind of go over here and be over top of the number 2 receiver, Jalen Lane. The strong safety is going to end up rotating back towards the middle, and that's going to allow him to kind of cover the deep half if there is a deep ball, but also allow him to step up and run support to the strong side of the field. On the Virginia Tech side of things, once we've motioned and we kind of know exactly what we're doing, at this point, Drones, again, has his one read. He knows exactly where he's going to go with this ball based on what this one defender does. So in our blocking scheme, these 2 linemen, the guard and the tackle on the left side, one of them is going to pull out and he's going to try to kick out this defensive end to the right side of the formation. The other is going to kind of wrap around the hole, wrap through the hole and try to pick up the nearest linebacker or the nearest defender that's going to be scraping down to make the play if Drones decides to keep it. Okay. Everybody else is blocking towards the play side. Center is going to try to reach this 3 technique, which is a really difficult block. The guard is going to try to reach this 1 technique. The backside tackle is going to try to reach up to the linebacker level. Okay, so that's our blocking up front. With the receivers, Benji Gosnell does a great job in getting an outside release and getting an arc block onto the star. Jalen Lane goes to help him. Here's why this is so important. This arc block allows this defensive end, it's called an influence move. So this defensive end, once he sees Gosnell take that outside step, that he's going to allow him to make a decision one way or the other. So this outside step here, this defender basically replaces him. So he steps up here. And as we just talked about, when that defender steps up, 33 gets the ball. Okay. Daquan Felton does a really good job on this cornerback to the outside. It is a quick decision. As soon as this guy steps up, Tootin gets the ball on the pitch, takes it to the house. So at this point, the only guy left to make the play is this free safety right here. And he makes the play, but only after a 9-yard gain. This is a phenomenal way to stretch the defense, okay? To make them think that they have no idea essentially what we want to do. We're going to keep them guessing, okay? Now, let's just look for an example of what would have happened. And this happens later in the game. In the third and the fourth quarter, you saw this a little bit more. when the defense starts to widen out. They want to take these 5 techniques and actually slide them out here a little bit. So they're actually a little bit further outside of this tackle box. They want to widen these guys out, okay? This does a couple of things. So now that we've run this play successfully a couple of times, okay, these guys start widening out a little bit. It allows the guard to get a little bit better kick block here. Sorry, used the wrong color. They get a nice little kick block there if they need it. Okay, the other thing it does, it creates wider running lanes for the quarterback. So let's just say number 5, since he's already farther outside the tackle box, that read is pretty much made for drones already. So now this guy is standing out wide because he wants to stop that outside. So as soon as he sees Tootin take that first step like he's going to get the pitch, he widens out. It allows our blockers to get downfield. Drones takes that ball, follows his lead blockers up through the B gap, up through the forward hole here. So this is a great wrinkle in the offense brought by Tyler Bowen this week that allowed Virginia Tech to do something that it really hadn't done all year. It allowed Virginia Tech to widen the defense. It allowed us to stretch the field east and west. And if a defense has to cover all 53 1/3 yards from sideline to sideline, it makes it much more difficult for them to stop any attack. And you notice as the game went on, more pass routes got opened up because the defense had to be wary of that outside run. They couldn't just pin their ears back and go get the quarterback. So hopefully this gives you a little bit more insight as to why Virginia Tech installed this particular play this week, why they decided to get out and run the ball a little bit more and stick with the run. And hopefully the Hokies can keep this up and we continue moving forward. So for the Hokie Hitter of the Week, I'm Coach Mike Holmes, contributor with the Sons of Saturday. Go Hokies.